It's time to check in with Doc Rob and the Concierge for Better Living. We take a real, raw, inside look at healthier living while sharing great ideas and improvements for a better quality of life. The Concierge for Better Living will help informed, intrigued, and interested listeners like you make better choices for yourselves and your loved ones. CannabisRadio.com proudly presents The Concierge for Better Living with your host, Doc Rob.
Good day, this is Doc Rob, your concierge to better living here on CannabisRadio.com. It's been a wonderful week, returning from the Chicago Cannabis Conference, which was quite successful. We had numerous speakers that were just full of information, doctors, attorneys. Of course, we had some patients giving their personal testimony. It was quite an experience at Navy Pier, the Grand Ballroom, which was in itself a great location. We were in a wonderful conference, but staring out the windows quite often, seeing boats pass us. And one of the reasons why I believe it was a success was our guest today, Andrew Hard from CMW Media. And he's the guy that helped get the news out there. And Andrew, thanks for coming on today. I know you've been real busy and kind of recovering from all that work. How's it going? How you doing over there?
You bet, Doc Rob. Yes, I have basically landed back from the show on Sunday night at midnight, and I just went right into working, which was probably not the smartest thing to do. So it was very successful. I still cannot believe we had every TV station in Chicago there the first day of this My Compassion Chicago Cannabis Conference show, which was, by the way, as Doc Rob mentioned, a gorgeous venue on Navy Pier overlooking the water. But definitely we're all kind of tired dragging ourselves back, but the news media was out for the show, that's for sure. And thank you for having us on.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, that was definitely one of the highlights. And when people, whether they attended or not, the word got out. And that's kind of the premise of, the conference itself, is just getting the word out. My Compassion, as you know, focus on education of medical marijuana, cannabis, hemp, all the things that are related in the sense of being an advocate and patient advocate and educate doctors. So it's wonderful. But we got a lot of information out to the people that attended, but also made awareness throughout Illinois and I hear beyond too. We got some national coverage, right?
Yes, we did. We had a number of national outlets as well. Literally every TV station in the city on the first day, but we also had Rivet Radio, a radio outlet. I don't even think we've seen the benefit of all the reports and interviews they did yet, but Rivet Radio gets syndicated out to the Associated Press, which, as you know, is the biggest wire service in the United States that gets fed out to all newspapers and TV stations. They also get syndicated out to a number of radio affiliates across the country. So that was a very big one. Also, Doc Rob was emceeing the event, so everyone knows, but our PR firm, CMW Media, got Fox 32 there. That got fed in. I actually used to work for the national Fox News Channel outlet. That got fed into the Fox News Edge, and that got fed across the country as well. So the Fox report from the show, which really was a very good report about how concerned the industry is about the lack of access and kind of all the obstacles facing the state program, that got fed across the country via the Fox News Edge to L.A. We've seen that report show up in D.C., in Tampa, in Atlanta, in Texas. So that also got syndicated and fed across the country as well.
Well, that's really amazing. And again, it's to large part due to what you guys do at CMW Media. What are you guys all about?
CMW is very passionate about what we do. We are a PR firm for the cannabis and natural products industry. If you're in the cannabis industry or thinking of getting into the green rush, call CMW. You can go to our website, CMWmedia.com, or, just shoot me an email, Andrew.Hard, Hard, at CMW Media. We are a PR firm to help you get your message out. The cannabis industry has a lot of stigma, and there's a media lens on it, and it's an ongoing challenge even for us, and we're the experts. But we are passionate. We believe in what we do. We know the science and research behind the cannabis plant and the positive things it can do for really humankind, and that's really what we're all about. We love doing what we do because we really believe we're helping other people.
Well, some of the press is hard to break through on some of these stories. You guys do a great job. We sat in studio together, Andrew, in Las Vegas for NBC, and that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, like you said, CNBC in New York City. My home is New York, and to be on the news and CNBC multiple times throughout the day, and it's pretty amazing. Even I think my mom in Florida got a chance to see it, which was always exciting for that. So you have this really unique niche in this media movement and helping. You have an understanding of the cannabis industry better than most, and I think that's one of the bigger differentiators is that people that are in media know media, but they may not understand media and cannabis. And there's so underlying dialogue and nuances to it. Wading through it is definitely challenging. I know you've been, our joke, I think, between the two of us is how many more media outlets are going to want to report pot for pets? Like how many times they can ask about pot for pets? Is pot for pets what you're talking about? And I think that CannabisRadio.com is getting good exposure. We're hitting the social media, but nothing like a good press release or nothing like being on a national media outlet to change your company's brand or position.
The CNBC interview, I think neither of us will ever forget the lower third they put under us that said, pot entrepreneur, famously. I think all of you listeners out there demand that Doc Rob put the pot entrepreneur photo on his website because he's holding out on all of you. And that's something for all of you to see, all of you listeners. We actually were there for a hemp company. Pot for Pets is just a kitschy story they're going to pick up, and boy, did it work. And also working within the cannabis industry, there's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of problems, and we really, really know how to get around them. The problems are pretty obvious. It's the Cheech and Chong element. That's immediately the story that the news media and their audience thinks, and the education needs to happen during at times a 2-minute news segment. It's very difficult to do.
Awesome. Well, let me take a quick break, and we'll come back. I have a few other questions for you, Andrew. Thanks for taking the time today. This is Doc Rob on CannabisRadio.com, your concierge to better living. We'll be right after this message.
The Concierge for Better Living will continue in a moment.
Dr. Dabber, hurry! Its temperature is shooting past 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's burning up.
I'm afraid for this little guy, it's just too late.
What caused the problem?
Only Dr. Dabber can maintain the perfect temperature for a smooth-tasting, slower burn. This standard vaporizer lost all of its health benefits, sending it up in smoke.
So you're telling me that most vapor pens burn so hot they produce smoke, not vapor?
Correct. Keep away from those standard vaporizer pens and turn to Dr. Dabber. Doctor's orders.
Less heat, more flavor.
Ganjapreneur.com, your guide to the cannabis business world. Ganjapreneur.com is a comprehensive resource for cannabis professionals and entrepreneurs. Download the Ganjapreneur app on your smartphone or tablet to catch up on cannabis industry news, scroll through our daily job listings, and learn about successful cannabis companies, executives, and investors. Ganjapreneur.com, helping Ganjapreneurs grow.
Cannabis Confidential with Dr. Dina. Candid.
I want to give you the inside story.
Captivating.
I want to introduce you to my kind and amazingly talented friends.
Compelling.
We get to meet some of the most amazing cannabis activists and warriors around.
Listen in as medical marijuana pioneer Dr. Dina shares never-before-heard stories, chats with cannabis insiders and celebrity friends, and provides invaluable perspective and insight into one of the fastest-growing industries in the world.
I want to share with you what was once confidential information. Let's expose the truth, discuss the issues, and learn the facts.
Cannabis Confidential, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Let's check back in with Doc Rob and the Concierge for Better Living, only on CannabisRadio.com.
And we're back. Doc Rob, Andrew Hart from CMW Media here on Concierge to Better Living on CannabisRadio.com. Andrew, I know before the break we were mentioning that you guys know who's who. Well, I'm honestly saying that they're starting to know who you are. I think you go to these cannabis conferences and trade shows, and your face is popping up as popular as Willie Nelson and Bob Marley. I think we're getting to that point. You guys are showing up at all the big events, helping promote the right brands, the good companies. But, sometimes you got to do a little spin, and it's not all fun and games or smiles. You got to be able to, spin on the fly. And some of your clients have had some not so great press, and that's okay. That's part of the whole industry emerging. How do you normally tell your clients when you're getting some of this negative press? Do you have any kind of wisdom for them to approach and spin it and turn a bad story into a good, a silver lining at least?
Yeah, that's a great question. And obviously, that's what PR is all about, is it's the bad with the good. And certainly, in the cannabis industry alone, there is a stigma already that you have to deal with in the news media of they want to run pot stories. It is true. Some of our clients have had either attack pieces or pieces that talked about some of the negative of their executive's background that obviously, we don't like when reporters do that, but you have to learn how to spin because the facts are the facts. And, when reporters dig things up, that's going to happen. So it's a variety of avenues. Number one, obviously, if something is published that is just, blatantly untrue, you actually can't do that. And first avenue is obviously the legal avenue, is to, address the publication and say, you publish something that's factually untrue, show that that's the case. And, obviously, slander and libel laws do exist. They are serious and they're there for a reason. Then what we do is if negative reports run, we immediately write a public statement. That is a statement to be shared with the press. If the company is contacted about these reports, again, it makes sure that the company has a statement ready where they can address any negativity that was published or that ran. Then, obviously, it's preferable to have that actually ready in advance. So the really, really best thing to do is sit down with new clients and say, look, tell me everything. What is everything? What could be wrong? If you have a client who's not telling you that, they're not giving you all the tools to actually do your job, and what's going to happen is you're going to find out after the fact of, oh boy, you were caught in Nigeria with what, and that's no good. So you definitely want to be prepared, but find out all the facts. What is the very worst a reporter could find, and have your response ready. And honestly, the last piece of insight I'll offer is, to me, the best spin is always the truth. Don't leave a reporter feeling like you're spinning. Actually just work out, okay, look, if this is true, what's the actual way to respond to it truthfully as well? Just also mentioning, look, here are the positives that are true as well. That's the most important way to think.
I think that's great insight for people. I mean, a lot of these companies are so dependent just on social media these days. The traditional media outlets have such power still, and I guess a lot of people aren't familiar how to approach it. So working with a group like yours, you and Denise have each over a decade of experience in media and can guide and help, and I think that's important. I mean, when they come to me, they ask about the medical and the science and the product and the formulations and that stuff. They're not asking me how to get on CNBC. So we got to look at where our strengths are and move forward with that. I've had some of your clients on as guests. One of the other things that I know you guys have helped with that I don't think you mentioned is actually media training. And it sounds silly just to go out there and tell your story but you need to sometimes have these clients rehearse a little bit and know their bullet points and know their talking points. Otherwise, it could become quite a disaster, and then you really have to work a lot harder. You've seen a lot of results, right, by training some of your clients and helping them be better prepared to answer questions.
CMW Media, we really know that the media training is as important, probably actually more so than our ability to reach out to a CNBC, a Fox News channel, a major newspaper like, say the New York Times, and to get you on. Those opportunities, and just every startup, every entrepreneur should know, before you get starstruck and overly excited headed into them, those opportunities can all be a very, very big positive, or they can be a very, very big negative. Before you even embark on them, number one, your executives should be media trained. Keep in mind, your most senior executive may think that they do not require media training. They may think that, they've spoken at different, industry events, so they know the ropes. But speaking for a TV audience is very, very different, and you have to train yourself to speak in sound bites, and you, more than anything, have to train yourself to stay on your message and not be taken off of your message, even by questions that literally purposefully seek to take you off of your message. And that I call the Sarah Palin approach to interviews, which is no matter what you are asked, just stay on your message of what you want the audience to hear you say. And the thing is, if you do that and stay on your message and don't allow the interview to take you to a negative, don't allow the interviewer to take you off track, they don't end up with any footage or any audio of you saying anything negative that they can actually use. So it's actually a more important element. We are working very hard with all of our clients on that. We have clients that are more or less receptive, but it's probably a more important element to what we do, and we're definitely working at it every day. It's a constant challenge in the cannabis industry because the cannabis industry is very new and always moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour. Things are moving so fast. It's a constant challenge to slow down, be strategic, and let CMW Media train you for these opportunities.
Yeah, I think it's great advice. I mean, look, I as you said, I emceed the Chicago Cannabis Conference recently, and I've spoken publicly for over a decade. And when you get in front of a camera and you're going to be on national news, and you got a journalist there who spent a decade learning how to pull the good stuff out of you, even if you don't want it, it's intimidating. It's even for the most experienced. And I think practice and training is always important, and knowing where your sound bites are, knowing what your bullets are, and knowing how to respond directly so you don't look like you're spinning or trying to figure it out or making stuff up. Facial expressions, body language, all that comes out when you're on camera. I really like the CMW idea of training their clients, giving them all the tools they can. It's quite an experience. The more you get on those opportunities, it's pretty impressive to see these people that are on the news every day over and over again, how calm and collected and organized they are in their thought process. And it is a practice like anything that you want to be good at. And if you got a company, if you got a brand, if you want to be recognized, you want to practice. You want to become fine-tuned. I'm still doing it on this radio show. It's a newer thing for me, but I love it. I love sharing good information, and I love having good guests. And we're going to get back and have our last segment with Andrew Hart from CMW Media right after this break. Some good stuff for you if you're out there listening. This is Doc Rob, your concierge to better living on CannabisRadio.com.
The Concierge for Better Living will continue in a moment.
Your connection to quality cannabis insurance services is spelled K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R. That's Karcher Insurance. We have worked with ventures like cannabis for over 60 years. We're proud to represent over 50 companies with tailor-made cannabis plans for owners just like you to insure your product, your plants, and your pursuits. K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R spells out their full-service insurance services ranging from commercial to bonds, to personal, from life to health, and more. Contact the team at CarcherInsurance.com and let our experience work for you. That's K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R Insurance.com.
Contact Karen and the team at Karcher Insurance at 1-844-421-3560. That's 844-421-3560.
MJWellness.com, the largest medical marijuana community in the world. Connect with thousands of patients, doctors, industry leaders, and businesses through shared personal experiences along our worldwide network. Discover new therapies and benefits with content tailored to you. Come grow your network on MJWellness.com. You're not alone. Your wellness matters. Learn, live, and thrive. Check out MJWellness.com today.
Growing green to generate more green.
Hello to all you happy herbalizers, smiling trippy hippies, and everyone who believes in freedom and tolerance. This is The Grow Show, and I'm Kyle Cushman.
From food to fuel, from remedy to resource.
Welcome my guest, Ed Rosenthal, the guru of ganja. Let me ask you, right now I hear your lighter clicking. Are you smoking indoor or are you smoking sun-grown?
What am I smoking? I'm smoking concentrate.
Way to get out of the answer there. So you're truly like the king, right? You just clap your hands and somebody brings you a bowl and you're all set, right?
I wish that were the case.
The Grow Show with Kyle Kushman, only on CannabisRadio.com. Let's check back in with Doc Rob and the Concierge for better living, only on CannabisRadio.com.
We're back once again. This is Doc Rob, your concierge to better living at CannabisRadio.com. My guest today, Andrew Hard from CMW Media. We're having a great talk and some insight into PR and media training. And I know we were both at the Chicago Cannabis Conference. First of all, it's put on by a 501c3 nonprofit. So not all of your clients are the typical big money product manufacturers or hemp manufacturers. There's nonprofits that you work with. There's different organizations that you can work with. So it does open up the conversation to a lot, wider scope of opportunity. Anyone that needs greater exposure, greater presence in the media, getting their word out. And I mean, in Chicago, you had a few clients there, not just working with My Compassion. And one of the presentations was very cool. We had Dr. George Anastasov from Axum Bioscience there talking about delivery systems, about CBD, about some of the farm and tech and nutraceutical developments they're working on. But you guys also had a documentary that you showed, like about a 20-minute video. Tell our audience a little bit about that video and some of the other tools like that you guys use.
Yes, I'd love to. And that is very important to note. Just first off, to your first point, Heidi Parikh and Amish Parikh from My Compassion, they're a mom and pop operation, this My Compassion nonprofit. This My Compassion nonprofit does good work. They raise money for patients who don't have any alternatives or any other options. It is nice to be able to represent a nonprofit like that. So at the show, we debuted a documentary. This was a third-party documentary made company called Axum Biotech, whose CEO, George Anastasov, was speaking at the show. And this was literally a documentary maker on our team full-time now. We have a 2-time Emmy award-winning documentary maker. His name is Jordan Gazzardo, and he's very talented. And he found this product, Can-Chew Gum. Can-Chew Gum is a cannabinoid release gum that contains CBD or cannabidiol. And through looking at the gum, he met a couple consumers who had found it and had been using it, or families that had been using it, and dug deeper and discovered that Axum had been conducting clinical trials on the gum and on a higher THC version of the gum as well, one that couldn't be sold across the United States, but maybe only in Colorado right now, but isn't. They're conducting clinical trials on it and doing everything right for pain, multiple sclerosis, and muscle spasticity. And it's a very interesting story. They're conducting clinical trials outside the country in the Netherlands right now. And obviously Netherlands is the home of, say, in Amsterdam, where everything is legal. But their government is also very savvy. And we basically debuted a documentary, a lot of it shot in the Netherlands, telling the story of Axum and the Can-Chew Gum. And Doc Rob actually helped set it up. And it was a pretty amazing piece of work. And at CMW, we also do things like that. If you're having trouble having your company story told, the news media lens isn't always the best place to go. So, you can tell your company story yourself as well, and we help companies do that as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to have Dr. George Anastasov as a guest on the show. I did have Heidi and Mish from My Compassion on as a guest, so those listening can check in the archives, check on CannabisRadio.com for that interview. It was great. It was before the conference, and probably going to have them back on again as I'm working closely with them. I think they do some great work. I think the research being done at Axum is pretty amazing as well. And, again, all the work that CMW is doing just to get the word out there, whether you're a small manufacturer or you're a nonprofit or maybe even if you're a doctor like me who's got a big mouth who wants to get the message out there that cannabis is safe and good and effective, it's real medicine, I think that there's a great opportunity to work with you guys. You guys are very hands-on. You and Denise take real pride in what you guys do, and I've seen the impact. That's the most important thing. Usually when people are looking to spend money, they got to make their decisions wisely, and especially in this industry, and when they see the results.
It was 2.2 million people reached by the show. We reached a lot of people. And honestly, the one thing we didn't talk about in Illinois particularly, I'm really glad that we did that because I'm born and raised in Illinois. And I am a little saddened by the state of their program right now. And I really hope they get things in that state to where they can start helping people there, because being from that state, it's a little depressing for me. I'm not going to lie, and I'm pretty proud to actually be from California. I hope Illinois can get it together, and the reporters did a good job of telling the story that right now they're not getting it together for the benefit of the residents of Illinois. And any way your listeners can push to get that on track, I urge them to do so, because there's people hurting out there that need people's help.
That Illinois industry is slow moving. It's unfortunate. There's a lot of patients that need the benefit. Those patient testimonials, we had a veteran talking about his PTSD experience. It was pretty significant. I want to thank Andrew for being on the show today. CMWmedia.com. Check them out. They're doing a lot of great work. There's a lot of great events. Check out My Compassion. Donate to them. They did a great event, but they need some more support, and they're willing to come to different states. They're opening up. This is Doc Rob, your concierge for better living on CannabisRadio.com, wishing you all the best in health and happiness.
The opinions expressed on this CannabisRadio.com program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of CannabisRadio.com. Any rebroadcast or redistribution without proper consent of CannabisRadio.com is prohibited.